Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when you build something, of course you have to be very intentional with one, who your audience is. So if I'm designing a school, I'm not going to design an elementary or primary school the same way I design or build a university.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a university doesn't have kids from who are of that age.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to have the knowledge, or at least the understanding of who your audience is, and the users of that space. Because an adult will generally be comfortable using, when I say generally, very loosely, using a structure that has been built for a child. As long as they can fit through, they're fine.
Yeah,
Especially in like a school system, or even public. Let's go to public restrooms, right? If you go to urinals, the urinals that are set lower for children, and there are those that are set higher for guys, for grown-ups, adults, right? As a designer, you know this.
Yeah.
But what is going to stop me if all the others are occupied that I can't use this one as an adult? Nothing's going to stop me, right? But a child cannot step up to use this because it's not to the level of the child. So by just using one system, you've isolated a very large percentage of children who want to use bathrooms, who want to use bathrooms comfortably, who want to feel that they're being seen, that they're being heard. So there's also that level of understanding who you're building for and who you're designing for and who your audience is. Are you giving allowances to an interactive systems, like I talked about the urinals? Is it combined? Is it segregated? Do you have bathrooms for kids? Do you have bathrooms for adults? Yeah. How does it look like? Yeah. So you have to be very intentional.
It's still the dead.
It's still a creative. I call it a creative block. You know. Sorry, no, not a creative block. Yeah, it's.
You get a block when you.
Yes, yeah. That's. I guess we were talking about two different blocks. So like, to remove that limitation makes it much easier. Mm-hmm. So think about an open plan office versus an office that has partitions. There's a feeling you get from an open plan office of also community. Yeah. So I'm working with my counterparts, you know, and I can see them and we can converse and we can talk, or I can pass something over. I don't have to stand and walk across and look over your back or over your shoulder or something of the sort. You're creating a sense of community even in an office setup. Yeah. And that's just by simply removing partitions. Now think about if you did ceiling systems, not the standard tile systems that are put in, but I'm talking about something that has motion to it, something that waves. If the wind comes in, it's going to shimmer, or it's going to move, or it's going to do this, or or a different texture or a different material. And when you asked that question, I thought about the Microsoft offices in Kenya that were done. Yeah, they were done by one of my good friends. Actually, he's also an architect, and he did an amazing job with that space, right? Oh, yeah. And it's all about doing something differently than what is actually being done. So you're bringing in bamboo, or you're bringing in natural fabrics, you're bringing in textures. You know, in a standard office, you just have the carpet, if there's even a carpet, or the desk, or the chair, and the wall, and that's the only texture you have. But if you bring in different textures that complement one another, lighting that complements the textures, furniture that complements the textures and the function of the office as well, it makes it better. So it's all about creating a sense of harmony for the occupants of that space. You see what I mean? So whether it's with lighting or whether it's creating, change up fixed windows and put some louvers so that you have some airflow into the space, right? Add different textures, with the textures, have them different colors or colors that complement one another. And there's a myriad of things that you can actually do in a space. And there's a lot that you can actually gain from having different systems or integrated touches here and there that will actually make the space feel better.
Actually, when you're speaking, my mind is just thinking of Wakanda.
Oh.
Black Panther movie. Like I can see the studio.
Yeah.
Where there was quite some African prints over there.
Mm.
In one of the offices, there was the wooden doors, there was the shelves, the masks. Like there's so much variety and richness of textures, as you're mentioning, which is also a biophilic design element.
Yes.
Where you bring in different elements, different textures, because when you feel them, it does something to your system. It's more interesting getting into a space where I can touch some wooden what is it called, material.
Yeah.
I can touch some stone that
Yeah.
is just left naturally. It feels more natural.
Yeah.
And yes, I totally agree with you. So I just keep thinking of the Wakanda set. There's a very nice incorporation of Africanness in it. And I think I'd love to look forward to seeing such kind of offices, within our spaces, because I feel like our offices as well can be very how do I put
Dull.
it? Dull and just monochromatic.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to be offices and professional and, as you're calling them, like
Dead spaces. Creativity. They're called creativity dead zones. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's while you're saying that, there's something I remembered. There's a concept that I did for a church. This was, geez, do I remember? 2017, 2018, or somewhere there. And the church had a percentage of their congregants were blind. So we all know that the blind read through texture with Braille, right? So on the walls of mainly on the entrance, I had proposed to have a Braille wall that literally has either its Bible verses telling you that this is the entry, this is that, and it was actually received very well, because it's something, because you're using it's, when you talk about disability access control, you have to understand that this is who you're dealing with. These are the people. This is the audience. This is the context. So I had different like lines on the ground with different colors. Like So I had, so it's, and I'll So I'll get to that. So it's on the ground. You have textured floor. So you have a smooth floor, but then you have something that's textured, and then on the wall you have now the textured Braille. So if it's leading you towards the washroom, you can tell, when it's telling you, use the textured floor on the right and follow it. They can actually get on that
they
texture.
Can from the feet.
Not the feet, because if they're using a walking cane, so it's all about knowing where the texture starts and where it stops. So they can always follow that line.
Wow.
Now, the funny thing is, when I went to Australia, they've done that in the public streets. So they have textured floors in the street that lead you towards where the crossing is. The crossing itself, you have a light that it's, so for you to cross, at the lights, there's one that produces a sound, or the same, like it produces a sound, and it tells you when to go and when not to go. So if you're blind, you'll know when it tells you go.
So what, do you think that some of these ideas, some of this culture-centered design, even the Braille, the accessibility, what you're talking about with the Braille, do you think these are things that are anchored on any policies in Kenya? Do you feel like the government will be receptive to this? Is it something you've tried before? What do you feel about doing this on a bigger Kenyan scale? Do you think there's reception for it, or do you feel like we're not there yet?
We can never be there without trying it out. And I think the biggest problem we have is fear. The fear of the unknown. I think it's important for us to get to the point where we can start talking about inclusivity, especially within the built environment, because I feel like there are a lot of hurdles that we have to get across. There are definite lessons that we've learned as a country, but I feel like there's still so much more. I feel like we've just tasted it, but we are not driving it. And I feel like we now need to get to a point where we're driving this conversation, so that even if it's not picked up in our policies and things, it has to be a standard
Yeah.
that even practitioners do themselves. So it's not about, does the policy allow me to do this, or is there a policy that talks about disability access control? Because there's nothing that's stopping you from doing it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not
Just
about,
go for it.
it's about knowledge.
Yeah.
Really, at this point. So if budgets allow, and I think budgets definitely do allow, it's just that we need to get away from that conventional mindset of a building has to look like this, a square building.
Yeah.
You know, there's no tapers, there's nothing. But we need to get away from a conventional mindset to understand how we can use the natural environment and also different things, and, you know, getting to relate with different people in different ways.
Yeah.
The built environment is not just for the abled. It's for everyone, really. Yeah. So we really need to get to a point where we are doing things inclusively.
No, that's we can't get to see this church, which I was so curious to see. This is so beautiful. Oh
Thank
my
you,
God.
Thank you.
I actually think it will be part of every project, because
It
I mean,
should. And
they
I think I'll
access
embed
all
it.
spaces.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think, so even in our own public realm.
Yeah.
So like, when you're doing urban
Oh,
planning,
yeah.
urban planning systems, for whether it's even in our CBD right now, we need to start embedding these things. Whether it's, you know, street lights, our cross lights, whether it's our walkways, our footpaths.
Yeah.
We need to start embedding different things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if it's a railing system that we need to put somewhere with braille, with, you know, something that tells you you're heading in this direction.
Yes. Yes.
Or, you know, if you turn right, this is the next street, this is
Yeah.
the next street, this is the
Yeah.
next street.
Yeah.
It's all about intentional design, and you're doing it for people. You're doing it for general. It's just general people in the country. So I feel like we need to get to a point where we can start embedding very simple systems.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
costs absolutely nothing
Yes.
to add braille into our built environment,
Yeah.
whether it's through the floor textures or whether it's on a railing or on a wall or something of the sort.
And it could be in harmony with everyone else, because as an interior designer or as an artist, I will take the braille and turn it into art. Yes, it's communication for someone else,
but it's a piece of art for
everyone
somebody else.
Yeah.
So you're using, so it's an integrated function, right? So it could be in different colors, which now aesthetically makes sense for the environment and for the general area of what you're looking at, but it's also informative to the person who's using it in touch. So it makes a lot of sense for us to actually get to a point where we can do that. It doesn't have to be stale or bland. We can actually make something good out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this takes me to my interesting question, because I'm just curious to hear what you'd say, and I feel like you'd probably give me something or mention something I've never heard in my life before. But what is your, as Roy, having interacted with culture-centered design, having friends who are doing this, what is your what building do you admire in Kenya, in Africa, that has incorporated this, what we're talking about today, the nature, the Africanism, the culture, the community? What building is that?
Where do I start? I feel like in every place I have visited, I have seen something that has caught my eye. And whether it's something that has been like a system that's been integrated, or a building per se, but we'll stick to the buildings here. When you start talking about systems, I can go very far with this. But in Kenya, there's one of my favorite architects in the world is Francis Kere. He has done amazing work, and I've referenced Francis Kere's works, especially like in Gabon. There's a school that he did there, and my thesis was about a school, so I referenced that type of work into my school.
Is it the one with the pots on the ceiling?
No. It's the one that has skylights, but the skylights are shaded with like a piece of art. It's like a board underneath that has a piece of art. So it has multiple functions as a filter of natural light, but then it also serves as a cultural embodiment of wherever it is. You know. So then There's the use of courtyards, the use of different levels, the use of ramps, the use of natural materials. There's so much richness in that. And he did a project here in Kenya, in Turkana actually. That's northwestern Kenya. Is it northwestern or northeastern? Northeastern Kenya. It's the Lions Academy.
It's a campus.
It's a campus. The reason why I refer to that building so much is because in that region there are anthills. Right?
Yeah.
So there are these, you go along your huge anthills, right? And instead of just building something that is, flat face and things, he designed this structure that has multiple anthills that also talk about, when you talk about ventilation and the shaft system for like the
chimney.
What's it called, the chimney, it does the same thing. It's all about elevating or transferring that, that ventilation system. So there are no AC systems in that house, right? All the building materials, well, I could say maybe most of the building materials were from that ground. All the rock actually were from right where it was built, right? So we're talking about a building that is reflective of the natural environment.
Oh yes, it blends with the anthill.
Yeah, so if
that's just a bigger anthill,
Yeah, but you see, it also serves multiple functions.
Yeah.
So it's not just about beauty. It's the function of the space itself. Actually does, and it does more good by realizing that, by referencing the natural environment, which is now biophilia, as well, to a point, biomimicry, you have this sense of your building actually is a living thing. So your building is breathing, because it's designed in a way that allows for the building to remain alive. So when I talked about sustainable buildings, I would say that's 100% a sustainable building. It was built by the local community. It was, the materials are from the locality. The architect who also worked on the structure of the building is a local architect. So there's a sense of ownership.
Community.
There's a sense of ownership and pride to such a building. So the community would never want to demolish something like that.
Oh my God.
You'll always want to keep it alive.
And this takes me back to a statement I keep saying, that green movements are doing a really beautiful job, in trying to reduce environmental impact. And you mentioned biophilia, and part of biophilic design elements is integrating community, integrating culture, and it's easier for me to take care of a building or a space that I feel more connected to. It's easier for me to take care of that compared to some strange, someone just came from somewhere else, came and created up some building with their own materials.
And then left. Yeah.
So I totally get when you say that it's people feel connected to the space. The building feels like it's part of you. The building is part of nature, and it's just a harmonious. Everything is in harmony.
Do you know the beauty of having your parent telling you, I built that?
Yeah.
It goes deeper to, if that building survives, and hoping that it does, their great-grandchildren will always say, my great-grandfather built that, or helped build that.
Yeah.
So it's also going down in, that's when you talk about intangible knowledge, intangible reference, that is where now that information is passed down from generation to generation. So because if my father was part of that build, he would tell me what he did.
Yeah.
And now because I'm really into it and I love that building, I'll tell my children that their grandfather did this and this and this. So if they want to get into the built environment, they would, and they would probably reference what their grandfather did, and they would do the same. So that's keeping tradition alive. That's keeping vernacularism alive as well.
And even when I listen to the story about the anthill, it just takes me back to, biophilia. Like at the end of the day, the greatest library that we have is nature. Nature has existed for years and years and years and years. It's proven, it's like proven knowledge. When I think about the ants and how the termite mound works and how it breathes in and breathes out, and how Francis Carey has taken that and kind of like brought it into a building. I mean, it just states the fact that, nature is the greatest library, and it's proven.
Yeah, it
over
is.
years and years and years.
It's a proven thing.
Yeah.
And you can't, as you said, you're not reinventing the wheel here. It's all about giving reference, and rightfully so, to what nature has for you.
Yeah.
Nature will always show you the best way of doing something.
Yes.
Because in that specific area, that has existed for generations and generations and generations. So why not mimic that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if he took a skyscraper or just some random thing there, fine, maybe it would look good, well and good, but would it be relevant to the area? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a form of relevance. If we have some time, let me speak about one more building. It's called the California Academy of Sciences. This is in California. It was done by another one of my favorite architects, Renzo Piano. If you look at the building, how it was done, especially if you look at the aerial shot of the building, all you see is the perimeter of the building.
How is that possible?
Because he did a green roof.
Oh,
so what he
I
did,
get it.
his concept was, if this is the ground, right? And I've decided to cut this amount, that same amount of
That
green
you've cut.
is what is going to be above the building.
Nice.
And that's exactly what he did.
Wow.
So if you look
if
you look at the
wall.
building, if you look at the building from an aerial view, you only see the perimeter of the green, which is solar panels actually, because and the solar panels do two things. They create shade for the people who are walking on the walkways, but they also generate power for the building. So yeah,
I mean,
if you talk about a building that is alive, that's also one building that is alive. It actually has smart systems that open and shut windows, depending on
the light and
depending on the heat, the environment, the humidity in the building, externally, blah blah. Yeah.
And you just mentioned the solar panels are providing shade and capturing the light, and I just thought about trees.
Yeah.
They give us shade and they're capturing the dust.
The same thing.
Oh my God.
It's the same thing. So solar panels were actually built off the structure of a plant.
Photosynthesis.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. I feel like we could talk about this forever and ever and ever. So what are the main gaps and problems or challenges that affect the incorporation of traditional principles, techniques, materials? What do you feel is the main gap, and how do you think designers can address these gaps?
I think one of the main gaps, and I think I talked about this sometime last year as well, like I keep talking about this because it's very important, is information delivery. I feel like there are people who are working in silos, and there are those who are working hand in hand with people in the same kind of trajectory. So like, I feel like it's important for documentation purposes at least, that certain systems are put in place for this information to be spread or to be taught. And I think, as I said earlier, culture and design is not easy to teach, but it's not impossible. We have to get to a point where we are actually teaching people of the sense behind culture-centered design, or even sustainability, or even traditional versus vernacular materials or techniques and the likes. And I feel like the best place to do it, especially with practitioners in the built environment, is the first year, second years. We need to get this information in the classrooms. We need to get this information in seminars, or where students are actually being involved in.
Yeah.
We need to have this informally as well. I feel like there's also a lot of formality around around the built environment and architecture, blah blah, that kind of negates or segregates ourselves, practitioners, from the people who want to practice. And I feel like we need to open this up, and I feel like by putting this in school systems is us reaching to them. It has to be from, when you say bottom-up approach, we have to go back and speak to these people who want to be practitioners of the built environment. we need to be able to give lectures. We need to be able to teach them. We need to be able to give them examples. Because as much as, yes, I am in the industry and I'm doing this now, I'm doing the foundational work for this. 5 years, 10 years to come, and this is my prayer and my hope that that is going to be a norm. So who are the people who are going to be working and practicing at the time, actively practicing at the time, are the people who are in schools now, or the people who want to be in school, right? To be part of the built environment. And we actually have to do this intentionally. We have to make sure that our universities and our schools, colleges, whether it's polytechnics, whether it's what, are being guided towards the understanding of what culture-centered design is, sustainability, green buildings, vernacular architecture, biophilia. We need to have those conversations in the classrooms.
Yeah. And you know, one of my biggest, I've been having a desire to really bring the older generation into our way of life. And I think this is coming from observing my grandma, my grandpa, my dad, you know, over the years. He's now retired. And I look at these people and they're so rich with information, but there's a disconnect. Like my mom is there back at home. I live here, you know. My grandmother is way back in Nyeri, like, and there's so much they could share. And I feel like they're also bored where they are, like where we've left them in the villages. You know, there's no much involvement in their life, and I'm like, these people have so much knowledge of indigenous systems or vernacular techniques, you know, and I feel like that's a way of bringing them back into, you know, like making them enjoy their retirement, and I feel like
them into the fold.
Exactly.
And I actually have a story for this, because when I was doing my thesis, I was trying to understand, you know, when I was comparing the communities in Kibera, and I was looking at two different villages. So where the school is between two villages. One is Kisumundogo, and the other one is Githaiga. So Githaiga is predominantly Kikuyu in terms of the history, and Kisumundogo obviously is Luo, right? But the funny thing is, both names mean the same thing. Oh. Kisumundogo means a smaller Kisumu, which means extracted from the name, right? Githaiga in Kikuyu is to be removed from the name.
Wow.
So as much as you feel, you'd find that I live in Githaiga, I live in Kisumundogo, you're living in oneness, because the names of where you live have a semblance to where you're from.
Wow.
And they all mean the same thing.
Wow.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And my dad is one who told me the meaning of Githaiga.
Because I'm learning that today.
Yeah, because I couldn't Google it. Now imagine you'll go tell somebody else, because now you'll go read about it, or you'll ask someone about it, and you'll get maybe another sense of the meaning of something, different translation. But my father told me that is the meaning of the word Githaiga. Right? Yeah. To be removed from somewhere.
Yeah. And we would have never known that.
I would have never known that if I never asked my father about it. And because my dad is also one of the custodians of my family tree. So our family tree, the Githaiga's family tree, and it's now this is another topic, but my dad is the one who's one of the custodians of that family tree, and the data and the information of that. And as a family and as an extended family, we've actually mapped out our entire family tree right now. We're still trying to connect.
We're actually working on that as a family.
Yeah,
nice.
But you can imagine, this is the person who has all this information, but he would have never been into the fold if I never asked him, or if I never felt the need to ask him. So it's the same thing you're saying. We need to involve our parents, because they have the direct connection to the culture and the language, really. You know, so by them telling us this means this means this, I'll be in a position to tell my children that this is what this means. So it's the continuity of our language, the continuity of our culture. And there are many cultures and there are many languages that are dying right now, and I feel like by documenting this information, we keep the cultures and the communities alive.
So what do you think is the future of African architecture in regards to vernacularism?
We, the young practitioners, have to go against the grain. So for this to actually make sense for the future generation, we have to go against the grain. We have to tell the gatekeepers that you're gatekeeping that information, that's fine, keep it. We will still find out that information and we'll make it open sourced.
Yes.
Because there's nothing new under the sun.
Yes.
We'll just make it open sourced. So there's no need for you to be a gatekeeper if the information will still be open sourced. You know, there's a theory of first knowledge that people always try to bank on, right? So if I'm the first person who knows this, I'm going to keep it and protect it for myself, right? What that does, unfortunately, as much as, yes, you want to be the expert in this, but what that does, you can't, one, you're not everywhere, so you can't be the same person disseminating all this information. So, unfortunately, if something happens to this one individual, the information dies to that person. And that's the fear or the problem around first knowledge. But if you disseminate this information and actually make it available for people to understand this information and to start interpreting this information with guidance, obviously, then there's a lot more people. The pool becomes bigger. So the understanding of this specific system becomes bigger.
Yeah.
We've been arguing about how our built environment, our building code has not been updated since the 70s. But it's the same thing. Our building code had not been updated because there are so many gatekeepers, there are so many systems that have been put in place to stop certain things from happening.
Yeah.
But the moment you start talking about green building, the moment you start talking about sustainability in a more different environment or different things, people will start working on these things on the side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it starts growing slowly.
And it starts growing slowly and then
yeah.
all of a sudden it becomes this big thing that now people are like, oh, maybe we needed to have looked at this before.
Yeah.
But now it's something that's so big that people who were there before don't understand it, and people who are younger don't understand it either. It's only now to a select group of people in this, you know what I mean? Like we are here. So we are the practitioners now, and we are the ones who understand it now.
Yeah.
But if we don't involve our forefathers, our fathers and our grandparents in this information, we will kill the progress of this. But if we also don't involve the younger people, the younger generation coming up,
You also kill it.
we'll also kill it.
Yeah.
So instead of leaving it in that silo, let's open it up. Yeah. So I think maybe as a foundational level, that's what we need to start doing now.
Okay.
One of the other reasons, or one of the things that we also need to remember, as you talk about integrating like gardens into the built environment, there's one thing that people tend to forget. The built environment is not just the buildings, but even the spaces between the buildings. In our urban plan, we need to actually start creating spaces where people congregate, or spaces where can either remain green or can even be turned into urban gardens, urban farms. That is something that is lacking right now. The pull for people to move from peri-urban or rural areas into the city is only being done because most of the jobs are being provided in the urban areas.
Yeah.
But if we actually started creating these jobs outside of the urban areas, we will be able to change how our environment works. So the built environment itself, we need to start looking at it as a combination of the buildings and the spaces between the buildings.
Yeah.
That's not, we're not even talking about roads here, we're not talking about public parks, we're just talking about the spaces between buildings. And it's very, very important for people to actually start to understand that.
Yeah.
Like if you go to town, you have like Aga Khan Walk. Aga Khan Walk is a perfect example for a space between buildings, you know, in an urban setting, right? So if we had more of that in the CBD, in Nairobi, you would actually have, it would be less of a concrete jungle and less of you know that heat island effect?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
You'd have less of that because you have more places with either more trees or more ground, you know, more human activity in those spaces. So I feel like it's important for us to start looking at building and urban planning, for that matter, with respect also to the spaces between buildings.
Yeah. Wow. Wonderful. Guys, you had it direct from Mr. Roy Githaiga. It's been a very interesting conversation. It's a conversation that is going to be built up on. We're going to get into actually doing case studies in future, getting to see actually what these techniques he's talking about, what is the urban heat island effect that he's mentioning. Let us look at gardens that are being done in urban areas. So it's been an amazing conversation. I hope you loved it, and we're looking forward to engage with you more and get get to hear your stories as well on some of the techniques that you've gotten to see growing up from your moms, from your grandmas. Let's keep the conversation growing, and thank you for tuning in. So Roy, tell us some of the eco-friendly materials or eco-friendly conventions we can have in terms of materials that we use in architecture, and what are the sustainable ways of sourcing for these materials?
So, for something to remain sustainable, it has to be done from a local perspective. Yeah. So it's just going back to the same conversation we were having earlier, in terms of making sure that the materials come from a local, I guess, community, like within your locality, for it to make sense, even financially and economically as well, right? There are so many materials that we can deem as sustainable, but it all goes down to how the materials are extracted and how they're used, right? So you'll find that it is more sustainable to use quarry cut stone within the vicinity of where the quarry is, as opposed to using the same material 200 kilometers away or 60 kilometers away, because now there's transportation, there's a lot of the carbon emissions and due to transport, right? So sustainability in this sense, when we're talking about green building, is very contextualized, right? And it has to be contextualized from, you have to look at all the different metrics. So like when you're talking about transport, when you're talking about extraction of materials, when you're talking about the use of the materials, the lifespan of said material, how long do we expect the material to serve its purpose for something specific? So if we're building, let's say, bathrooms or something with gypsum board or whatever it is this a lifetime product? Or is this something that we are going to start, redoing again, refurbishing again? So you see, in that sense, that product is not sustainable, right? It may be green from its extraction or its manufacturing, but whatnot, but it may not be sustainable in its use. So you see what I mean? So we need to be in a position to make that distinction very clear with what we're building. Because we might find some structures as semi-permanent because of the use. So we don't need to use materials that could last a lifetime for something semi-permanent, because now that material has gone to waste. Do you see what I mean? Yeah.
So when it comes to the process of selecting a material that is sustainable, should I just think about the vicinity? Is that really the main key, or what is the process of me as a homeowner who wants to design my house today in Nyeri, for example, and I want my building to be sustainable? What's the process of me thinking about the materials? Is it just about what is locally available, or is there more to it?
There's definitely more to it. So it's not just about the finding of the materials locally. You may find materials locally, but the building is not sustainable. It's a design factor. So it also has to come from, materials are only used if there is a blueprint for them to be used, right? So if the blueprint itself aligns with sustainable ways of construction, then the building itself will be sustainable. Do you get what I mean? So like if I design a building with sustainability metrics, with natural light, all these things, and blah, blah, but it's contextually based on where it is, wind and all these things, sun direction, all these things. If I build my building with respect to that locality, or if I design my building with respect to that locality, the materials, whether they come from afar or close, it means the building is still a sustainable building as per the design. The execution of the building is something else now. So the execution of the building is what involves the materials, the physical materials.
Yeah.
So if now the materials come from afar, couldn't we have found those same materials locally? Now, within the locality rather. Now, if we could, why not buy them within the locality?
Yeah.
And if we can't, now that's something that we can kind of say we're overlooking this because we need this type of material. See what I mean? But now it has to make sense, you know,
Yeah.
from a rating system, actually, from a point of you're rating this building as a green building or as a sustainable building. So it has to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to some of the projects that you've done, you talked about the school, you talked about having clients who actually have given you the leeway to
Yeah.
to utilize African techniques. But now when it comes to sustainability, because the two are actually interlinked, when it comes to sustainability, is there a project where you can say, I use this specific material from this site? Have we discussed about that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so there's a project I'm doing right now in Machakos. The trees that are being used for the structure. So we're using homegrown trees for the structure of this building, right? For the structures rather.
Okay.
They're literally within the land of the owner of the projects. And these are trees that they're growing themselves. So it's something renewable. You know, trees are very all this is renewable material because it grows back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the owner of that land, instead of having to buy logs, has opted to cut some of their trees, right? And use that material in the construction of their project,
Yeah.
right? And it's as much as people might say, oh no, you're cutting down trees. It's a renewable,
getting there.
but it's a renewable material. You see, if you're cutting down trees without a plan, that is where the problem comes in. But this person is cutting down trees and planting trees at the same time.
Okay.
And it's his own piece of land. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead of cutting down trees and then leaving it bare, if I cut down this tree, for instance, like this bamboo bush, I have to be in a position to plant more of these.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Because I know I want to build with these, so I need to create space where I can plant these before I cut them down.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So it becomes renewable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said rating, you said green building. What is a green building to our audience who may have not come across that? Actually, there's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with him over coffee, and I happened to mention green buildings, and for him, he actually thought it's painting buildings green. Like
Yeah.
he's got completely layperson in regards to built environment. So what is a green building?
A green building is a building that takes the non-conventional methods of, I guess, even the execution of the building to just do less harm for the environment. And I've said it in its very basic terms, right? So you're either bringing in a system or you're removing a system from that conventional way of building that makes the building better in terms of whether it's the water consumption or energy consumption, or energy also comes in with the heat and stuff. So whether the type of materials you use for your walls, the type of materials you use for your floors. Now, am I going to have to buy a carpet to cover the floor because the floor is too cold? Or am I going to have to bore a hole in the wall because the room is too hot? I don't have good sizable windows. Or I've built in a place that has a lot of wind and I have not considered the wind, or I have not considered, you know what I mean? So like it goes beyond the design. So green buildings are to reduce the harm of conventional buildings or the conventional style of building.
Okay, so let's put it more simpler to a layperson. What's the difference? Just like give three, you've said water consumption, energy consumption, material. Just give us three ideas. Like in our common homes, let's say here in Nairobi, you'll find tiles, you'll find the water system that you flush, you'll find, I don't know, LED. Give us an example so that the person can understand.
The simple system, it's water recycling system. Right? So for all your grey water, let me put it this way: for all the water that is coming from the showers and the kitchen sink and whatnot can be filtered out, right, and be made good for plants and water harvesting and the likes. And it can also be looped back into the flushing system for your bathrooms.
And that is not expensive, because I know Kenyans will be like, why?
The system is already there. So it's all about embedding the system. We're not reinventing anything. But you have to look at, so green building, when we talk about green buildings, people will say, oh, it's very expensive in the forefront. I would say it's an investment in how you do your building, in how you execute your building, right? Because in the long run, you find that you're saving so much more down the line that the investment that you made initially has actually given you savings down the line. So if I was to create that system, that double flush system, let's say for all the water for my cisterns, let's say in my house, are coming from the water from the showers and my kitchen sink, that means I am not bringing in fresh water to flush down the drain again. You see what I mean? So what that does, it saves you on your water bills, right? It also revitalizes your own environment by just recycling that system, right? You still will have fresh water coming in one way or the other, but because you're still recycling and you're reusing and you're repurposing that water as well, you're making that water have another part of its life into now flushing again or doing something different, watering your plants. You don't have to, your fresh water from your borehole or from the council to water your plants, yet you're flushing the same water down the drain. You see what I mean? Yeah.
It's actually an investment.
It's an investment, but it's an investment in savings for the future.
Wow. And speaking of green building, you are part of Kenya Green Building Society.
Yes, I am.
So what do you do there?
So I'm one of the board.
What is Kenya Green Building Society about?
All right. So let me start by talking about KGBS. So the Kenya Green Building Society is it's a membership-based organization, and our mandates are very simple. We teach about the education part is that we talk about and teach about what green buildings are. We also advocate for green buildings, right? So spreading the information, creating seminars, and doing the likes. We do that. We also are certifiers of green buildings in Kenya.
Okay.
Right? So we do use rating tool systems like Edge for rating green buildings. We also train. You're one of the trainers, by the way, we trained. So we also train practitioners in the built environment to be certifiers of buildings. So that we're not the only ones who are doing it, but our trainees are doing it. So we train you and then you do your work, right? So it's a way of getting that information out as well, right? So my role, I'm one of the board members of the Kenya Green Building Society. I'm also the technical lead for the Alternative Building Materials and Technologies Research. That's ABMTs for affordable housing.
Alternative Building Materials.
Alternative Building Materials and Technology. If you go to our publications page, the ABMT document is there. It's a handbook that we've worked on for about 2 years, right? So we got research and we got data that we put together. This is through not just KGBS itself, through other partners. And collectively, we've come up with a handbook that talks about ABMTs, Alternative Building Materials and Technologies, right? You have materials that can be used for the structure, you have materials that can be used as an infill in the, within the structure. And we clearly state that, right? We also have supporting documents on there, on the same publications page under the ABMT document that has price lists, that has this, as much as they need to be updated because every single year we have different prices, but we have a disclaimer there that those are the prices for, I think it was the prices for 2022, right? 2022, 2023, supported by IQSK. But what that does is that it gives you an understanding of this is the cost of doing a typology that looks like this using this material. Do you get me? Yeah. And obviously there are different things, like if I built, let's say, 10 of these houses, the cost would go down because I'm buying the materials in bulk and all of these things. We also designed a typology that we reference those materials on as well. So it's there. So go on our website, you'll find that information on our publications page. Yeah, it's open source. It's open source material.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Something else, I came across your page, or rather, I came across KGBS page. I got to see some of the buildings that have been rated, green rated, as he mentioned. There are rating tools that we use. One of which is Edge, which I am an Edge expert, so I can assist you in the certification of your building. But you actually worked on a home here in Nairobi, Kenya. That is actually Edge certified. Means Edge certified, meaning it is a green building.
It was the first residential Edge certified building in Kenya.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
The funny thing is, this was before I even went to. Was this before? No, this was before I went to Australia to do my masters, and this was before I got on into KGBS.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I worked on this house. The weird thing is the client, or the owner of the property, is one of the founding members of KGBS. So he came to the firm where I used to work. We built a rapport, and I became the person to design his house. Obviously, there were two other people who kind of chimed in as well in the design. So it was a collective, obviously. But I had a big hand in designing the house, and it was amazing to hear that it was finally registered as an Edge, as a green building. First residential house in Kenya. Yeah. It was an amazing project. I'll always remember that. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's actually on the website alongside other spaces that have other buildings that have been certified.
Yeah. On the Edge. So that is on the Edge website.
Yeah.
It's not on the KGBS website. So if you go to the Edge website, so Edge has all the buildings that are certified per the regions. So when you go to Edge and then go to Kenya, you'll find that building there. Yeah. So there are all these certifiers. You have LEED, you have Edge. There's a safari that is being built by AAK in Kenya right now. And all those rating tool systems do one main thing. They compare, or they look at the different arms or the different things that are going into the building, and they rate them according to a specific standard, right? So if, for instance, you want your house to be Edge certified, I know this for a fact that you need to have at least 40% water savings on the house. For your energy efficiency, there's a rating for that. There's also a rating for materials, right? So that's what Edge basically does that, right? It compares your materials with a design, and then it's also kind of gives you that rating system, right? So it's basically a standardization tool that tells you you're heading in the right direction. If you add a window here, you're heading in the wrong direction. If you do this, if you do this, if you do that, yeah. So it analyzes your building, your materials, your area, everything that is encompassing in your house, whether it's a solar system, whether it's a water recycling system. So it looks at all those things as well, and it gives you a rating based on the standards that it has set for the region.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well explained. So, what do you think is the future of green building here in Kenya, and what are some of the gaps you're experiencing as KGBS, or even as you as Roy, trying to create green buildings?
Yeah.
What do you think are the gaps in the market, and also how do you think they can be addressed, and what's the future?
I think I'll be very direct on this. From an insider looking outside, this is me being a board member at KGBS. I have been told numerous times that some of those trainings are too expensive, or the cost of the training. So as KGBS, we are really looking into that, because the training part is it's a global thing that we're doing. So because every country has a GBC, right? Yeah. So it's something that we are all doing as GBCs.
GBC is a
green building councils in the world. So we do have a system that we are trying to adjust in KGBS, maybe cost-wise or something. So that one is still in the clouds. But I think beyond that is the information. So a lot of this information is also free, right? Yeah. And this is where now KGBS comes in, advocacy. So when we are talking about green buildings, when we are sharing our information on social media, on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and we are talking about green buildings, we are giving that information for free.
Yeah.
We're disseminating this information.
Yeah.
You can go to the Edge website and also get this information, right? You don't have to be a certified practitioner to rate your building.
Yes.
If you're designing a building, right? I've used the Edge tool for so many years right now, right? And I can tell you that people who are doing the same thing because they want to know, are we saving this? Are we saving this? Are we saving this? Right? Does the design make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of this information is available. It just needs some curiosity for people to now kind of get into this, right? And I think now that's where our kind of advocacy comes in, into sparking some curiosity. Oh, these people are talking about green buildings. What is a green building? What is Edge? What is this? What is this? So the more we advocate for green buildings into the environment or into the population, the more we will see more green buildings coming up. Yeah. And it will be the better for our environment, to be fairly honest. Yeah. As you said, green and sustainability interchange a lot. So if you're looking at doing a green building with the right metrics in mind or with the right reasons in mind, you're already creating a sustainable building.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Roy. We've had a really, really interesting day today.
Yeah.
Talking about, oh my God, from traditional African architecture, culture-centered design. We talked about Malaysia. I was really curious to see how you've incorporated any form of Malaysia, Asian, Australian concepts into your work here in Kenya. Is that even something you'd advise to do? But maybe that's something we can get into in a later conversation. So thank you so much for your time. And we're looking forward to more of these conversations.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
You have my number, you can always reach out. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Cheers, guys. We hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.
So guys, we've had a really amazing day today. We have gotten into the basics of culture-centered design. We've gotten to understand, how to bring in culture into your design as an architect, as a designer, as someone who is passionate about culture-centered design. We've gotten to see what are the benefits of doing this. How does it help us environmentally? How does it influence, our environments, our beings? And it has been a very interesting conversation, and I'm sure you actually enjoyed it. We also got to understand green building. What is a sustainable material? What makes a material sustainable? And we also got to learn some rating tools in Kenya, like Edge, for example. I'm an Edge expert. So we got to understand, why should we have green buildings? Why is it important? And this is a conversation that needs more time, needs more, we need to talk about it more and more and more. And I believe that the more we have such kind of conversations, the more we're going to make sure that we have buildings, we have architecture, we have environments that are actually healthy and good for us. And join us, follow us. We'll keep having more and more of these conversations, and we'll keep talking about topics like biophilia, culture-centered design. We want to create a future Wakanda here. Yes, and create spaces, African cities, African homes that are technological savvy, but they're also very sustainable, and they have an element of our culture and who we are as a people. We also really highlighted wanting to bring in the older generation into our current way of life because of all the information they have. They are walking libraries. So we're trying to see how to bring more of them into our way of life, into our work, so that they can teach us about, indigenous ways of planting trees, of building, some vernacular techniques. And, we need to use the resources that are just within us and open our eyes to what is around us, nature, working with nature, working with our grandmothers, grandfathers, and all these indigenous people and systems. And I look forward to having more deeper conversations, more richer conversations, and thank you for listening to us.